Medical experts all over the world are predicting a new epidemic. An epidemic that will highly increase the rates of cancer, osteoporosis and diabetes. It's a lack of vitamin D. Here with us today we have Shaimat Atwa, a researcher doing her doctorate at the Skin and Bone Laboratory at the University of Sydney. Thanks for joining us this morning, Shaimat. Can you tell us a little bit about your research?
Basically, I'm working on the calcium sensing system on bone cells, which we know is responsible to strengthening bone. Part of my research involves how vitamin D affects the calcium sensing system in bone.
So what is vitamin D?
Well, vitamin D is a vitamin, okay, and acts more like a hormone in the body. Most of our vitamin D we get from our sun, and that's by the sun hitting our skin and doing something to the structure of vitamin D to convert it to its active metabolites in the body. Now, vitamin D actually helps the calcium absorption in our gut and also calcium deposition in our bone, the calcium and phosphates. It also helps facilitates the calcium passing through the placenta from the mother to the baby. So if you don't have adequate vitamin D, you won't have adequate absorption of the calcium from the mother to the fetus. Hence the fetus will then become bone deficient, and hence the metabolic disease would be rickets.
So vitamin D affects the absorption of the calcium into our bones then?
That's right. But then, so having said that, without calcium there being adequate in our diet, vitamin D can't act at its own. So it's more of getting your diet right, having the right amount of sun exposure with the right diet and the right lifestyle.
So not only do I need to keep eating my cheese and my laban and the yogurt and all the rest of that,
right.
I need to have my vitamin D to make sure that all of that is absorbed.
Absolutely.
Given that we live in Australia where there's lots of sun, it's predicted that 1 in 4 Australians are actually vitamin D deficient. How does that happen?
Well, not only veiled women they're saying are vitamin D deficient, but also workers who work most of their times indoors because of their lifestyle. They don't get exposed to the sun. And not only getting exposed to the sun, it's only during a specific time of the day that is optimal to get the right amount of vitamin D without getting all the skin damage aspect of the sun.
So what time would that be?
The best time of day to get the maximum vitamin D exposure that you'd need would be, say, after 11 when the sun's not at its peak, and then later on from 3 to 4.
All right then. And what are some of the long-term problems that people face when they don't have that vitamin D exposure?
Okay, well, because of the lack of vitamin D exposure or the lack of vitamin D in their body, okay, their bones won't be at its optimal, hence more chances of getting osteoporosis, bone arthritis. Then they can go and get diabetes, for example, more of a long-term effect.
Is there any way of increasing the amount of vitamin D in our system?
You can get artificial supplements in your diet, and that's as tablets. However, they say that's not adequate enough.
Okay.
Again, you'd need your maximum amount from the sun, but then again, so you have some people who are sun allergic and they can't get out, so that's the only thing they can do for the time being, get their supplements to get their calcium.
How do we know if we're vitamin D deficient?
Or basically go to your doctor and they do a vitamin D test on you and see whether you're vitamin D deficient or not.
If you were going to give our viewers any words of advice in terms of vitamin D, what would be some of the things you'd say?
Well, one thing I'd say, definitely you're not vitamin D because of your veil. Okay. Again, it's more of a lifestyle issue. As I said, you only need a minimum of 10 minutes in the sun, and that's during the optimal time, so you don't get sunburned and all the disadvantages you get from the sun along with it. People who are dark skinned are harder in absorbing vitamin D, and again that means you increase the amount of time you spend in the sun. Basically, the surface areas which needs to be exposed are the face, the hands, the back of the neck, the back and the legs. Okay, for us veiled women, it's the face and the hands, and that's an adequate surface area. So basically just raising the awareness among our friends out there to get out in the sun at least 10 minutes a day, and that should be enough.
I think we can do that living here in Australia.